Good afternoon, everyone. How are we all? I hope we are all well. Right then, where should we start? That was surreal. Wasn't it? Was you watching that kind of with a sort of what the is going on? It's just crazy, wasn't it? First of all, I want to give a shout out to Richard Emmanuel. Richard, I got your questions. I thought they were great. I'll definitely be using them in a future episode, my brother. So thank you. Also, if you're new here and you enjoy it a little bit, hit like, hit subscribe, as always. Where did you watch this conference? I watched the Matchroom stream, which was presented by Fabio Wardley. What an articulate young man he is. He was pretty good, wasn't he? I like Fabio Wardley. He's got some real dog in him. He's got some real spite in him, Fabio Wardley, and I like that in a fighter. He's a small heavyweight, though, isn't he? Very small heavyweight, but I wish him well. Big fan of Fabio Wardley. A lot of people do sort of comment that I should look at the camera more, but I'm not a professional. I need these notes. It's an attention span thing, so you just have to excuse me on that. Right, I'm assuming this presser, because it was headed by Frank Warren, wasn't it? Because is that to do with? I'm assuming this was a Queensbury date originally for Usyk Fury, so it's their day, their show. Frank Warren headed the presser, because other than Deontay Wilder, the two biggest names on the card are Matchroom fighters, aren't they? In Bivol and Joshua. So just weird to sort of see Warren heading it when the kind of Joseph Parker's boxer, and I think so. Not even Joseph Parker is his, so he hasn't even got a fighter in the headline. Am I right in thinking that? I think so. I did have to. Did anyone know? Do you know what? Sometimes it might look like I'm picking on Frank Warren, but he's an easy target, isn't he? A lot of the time, to be fair. I think his opening statement was a quote Frank Warren. The one reason we're doing this event, the one reason we're doing it is for the fans. Just for the fans. Money's got nothing to do with it. Just for the fans. Cheers, Frank. I'm not going to go through this whole press conference, because if I did, we'd be here for hours, and no one wants to sit in front of me for hours, do they? So I'm just going to go through some of the points that sort of stuck out to me while I was watching this. Firstly, Anthony Joshua. There's bitterness in there, isn't there? You know, and probably a little bit justifiable, but he's got a very sort of it's him against the world attitude, hasn't he? Did you not notice? Which can be a great motivating factor, but it can also be a bit self-destructive, can't it? I tell you what, do you know the person who stole this press conference from me, who I think come across the best by a mile, other than Bivol? Bivol was great. He's a very respectful, very professional guy, isn't he? Very good. But the person who stole it from me with their class and their grace was Deontay Wilder. He came across fantastically, and he kind of does the more I see him. Regardless, he is possibly the most technically limited heavyweight champion I've possibly seen. I mean, he's got balls the size of King Kong and a punch to match, hasn't he? But in terms of skills, he's right down there, isn't he? But I find him hard to dislike. I've gained a massive respect for him since all the Fury fights, really. But you cannot question that man's heart, can you? That man has got cojones, as they say. I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of Deontay Wilder. So I wish him all the best. Did you see, it was after I won't call it a round, I won't call it a fight, I should say, the Helenius round. Did you see, there was a bit of footage from, I'm not sure if it was the hotel they were both staying at, but Helenius quite famously travels very light in terms of a team. It's usually him and his manager, and that's kind of it. And it was sort of in there, it looked like it was in a hotel, and Helenius was sat there with his manager, and Deontay Wilder was making his way through. And he walked through and he gave him a big, massive hug and was so apologetic at the fact that he knocked him out. You know, he just said, you know, I'm so sorry, it's just business. And he went on to invite Helenius and his family and his team to Wilder's ranch. He said, we're brothers now, come over, bring your team, bring the kids. And I just thought that was a lovely moment. I thought it was a touch of class. I really liked the guy. So for me, he won that press conference hands down in terms of just a bit of class and a bit of grace. Really, really good. I tell you what, there's a big there's a sort of a sentiment going around that this Saudi now being the big player in the boxing game is bad for the business. And I get why people say that, because it's created this unrealistic pay scale, hasn't it? That if you fought in Saudi and you've had a massively elevated paycheck or purse, you're not getting that anywhere else outside Saudi. So I kind of get that idea. I get fighters are going to overestimate what they deserve in terms of a purse if they've fought in Saudi, because they're not getting that anywhere else. But in terms of, isn't that really just the same as how it used to be with Vegas 10, 20 years ago? All the big fights used to go to Vegas because the casinos used to pay way more money to have them than anyone else. So in that sort of degree, isn't that the same thing? Are they really doing anything different? It's just they're the new kids on the block and have got more money than anyone else, which is kind of what Vegas did back in the day, didn't it? So I don't know, is that equal measures good and bad? And if anything, I mean, it's got Frank and Eddie Hearn sat at the same table and talking, isn't it? It's going to be hard for Frank Warren and Eddie Hearn to go back to being hostile. They're not been to hospital, have they? Hostile, when they've had a shake of hands, they've had a smile and had a laugh together. It's going to be difficult to go back, isn't it? So, yeah, wasn't for the Saudis, this wouldn't be happening, would it? Frank and Eddie would not be at the same table at all. So, to me, that's only got to be a positive, hasn't it? What else have we got? Yeah, another thing I want to point out. Eddie made a kind of valid point when he said that if Wilder and Joshua both come through with spectacular wins, Wilder Joshua will be the biggest fight in boxing. Sort of, we're talking outside of Usyk and Fury. And on the face of that, you might say, what you're talking about, undisputed is the fight. But here's a question for you. If you could have the results of both, but only watch one, what would you pick? Would you pick Usyk Fury or would you pick Joshua Wilder? I'm not sure off the bat. I mean, possibly Joshua Wilder if you want excitement, because I don't see Fury Usyk being particularly exciting, do you? What do you think? I'm interested in what you lot think on that. Would you prefer to watch Usyk Fury, forgive me, or Fury or Joshua Wilder? I don't know, not sure. Yeah, they were the things that sort of struck me whilst I was watching it. Still, just bizarre, wasn't it? The whole thing was bizarre. Just kind of hard to take in, wasn't it? It was like, it reminded me a bit of the UFC press conferences, because at the UFC press conferences, they have every fighter on the bill, don't they? They have quite a large card, but yeah, bizarre. Like I say, they're just the things that stuck out to me. I'll probably do more on this over the next couple of days. Thanks to everybody who's liked and subscribed. If you're new here, like I said at the beginning, like and subscribe, hit the notification bell. I will catch you in the next one.